What's up, culture family? How y'all doing today? It's your boy Zach here for another episode of The Breakdown. And the movie that we're going to be breaking down today is Soul Food. It stars Vivica A. Fox, Brandon Hammond, Mekhi Phifer, Vanessa Williams, Nia Long, Michael Beach, Gina Rivera, Irma P. Hall, Mel Jackson, Jeffrey D. Sams, Carl Wright, and John M. Watson. All-star cast, y'all. All-star black cast of great black actors who are all playing different roles and play them very, very, very well. I absolutely love this movie, and I was really thrilled to watch it and share it with you all today. It was amazing. It was really something, and a beautiful family movie. Family isn't always perfect, but it should stick together. You know, if your family, they're all going through something, y'all should all go through it together. I know some of our families are toxic and not good for us, and if that's the case, then, maybe it is the best to shy away from, the family and everything like that. But, if y'all are all going through something and you all can be of help and benefit to each other, and maybe family doesn't always agree, but it should always try its best to stick together, because sometimes family is the only ones you can really count on. And I know sometimes we got family out there that stab us in the back and do us dirty like we're not even blood related, and that's fucked up and that's unfortunate. But, really, oh, sorry. But really, y'all, if you're going through something as a family, like you have an elderly, like matriarch, a patriarch that's passing away, it's important to deal with these things with dignity and grace, and try to get through it as much, as best as possible. I don't have all the answers, but family, no matter what it's going through, should all try to stick together. Like in this movie, the grandmother, she has to have her leg amputated, and she falls into a coma. They want to sell her house. The older sister, played by Vanessa Williams, she wants to sell the house, but the rest of the family doesn't. I mean, I have experience dealing with this in my own family when my grandmother passed away. Some people didn't want to sell the house, but they eventually did sell the house. And sometimes you have to make some tough decisions, but family should always try its best to stick together. Lord knows we have our issues in our family over here, but we try our best to stick together and be there for each other and love each other. So, and yeah, man, what else is going on in that movie? You've got Nia Long's husband. He's an ex-con. She's trying to get a job. He can't get right, and he goes to like his brother-in-law and his sister-in-law asking for help, and counsel advice on what to do. And then he ends up going back to jail. Vanessa Williams makes some calls to get him out. Ahmad, he brings all the family together at the end, lying about some money, because he's tired of them fighting, wants them to come back together, because he's just an 11-year-old boy, and you see through the prism of his eyes. He's tired of all the fighting and everything. Then you've got Vanessa Williams' husband. He wants to be a musician. He wants to he's not happy as being a lawyer. And, she doesn't really support it. She's like, you work at a great firm, you got a great job, why would you leave that to go be a musician? She doesn't get it. But and ultimately her not being supportive of his music career, it ultimately drives them apart, and he's not happy. But Vivica A. Fox's husband is a good working class man. He's played by let's see, I forgot. I think it's Jeffrey D. Sams. I'm sorry. But Nia Long's husband is a felon, played by Mekhi Phifer. He can't find a job. He's struggling. He he just wants to be given a chance, and his wife asked her ex to give him a shot, and that really fucks him up. he ends up beating his ass, going to his wife's job, her at her beauty salon, going off on her and shit like that. And then, takes her to the back and pushes her up against the wall. Says, fuck you, stay away from me, tear shit up. Then, Vanessa Williams thinks that he hit her, so she calls some niggas to go teach him a lesson. They go to the bar where he's at to beat him up. He beats their ass, points a gun at him, ends up going back to jail. And, Vanessa Williams' husband, played by Michael Beach, he's an aspiring singer that stops being a lawyer and eventually cheats on his wife with their cousin. Their cousin, she wants to be a dancer. She's kind of like bouncing around. Big Mama took her in when, her mother died, and then she ends up coming back. She's staying with Vanessa Williams, and her husband ends up having sex with Michael Beach because, they just connect and bond because, they're both on the artist, tip of things. And I just thought it was interesting because you got 3 shades of black men. You got, a working class guy. He's kind of like the straight man. Then, you got the ex-con trying to get his life together. And then you got the aspiring artist that seems like his life is so perfect, but he's not completely satisfied. So I just thought it was really great that they had that diverse group of characters. Another thing I wanted to point out, they got like real diverse group of sisters. You got 2 sisters that don't get along at all. You've got Vivica A. Fox and Vanessa Williams. They don't get along because, Vivica A. Fox, she ended up with the man that Vanessa Williams was dating back in the day. And, I hate to say this, but this reminds me of my own dynamic and my own family a little bit. So it was just interesting to see. It was, and then, Nia Long, she's kind of like, the mediator. She works at the beauty salon, she's just mediator between the 2 sisters, always beefing, going back and forth. Trust me, we can relate over in this family, and that's all I'll say about that. And, the matriarch, keeps the family together. And, she instills that quality in her grandson, Ahmad. I was very close to, my grandmothers, who, unfortunately, they passed away when I was just a kid. But, I was I was really close to them. I used to go over their houses all the time, especially my maternal grandmother. I used to go over her apartment all the time and spend time with her. She loved me a lot. I loved her. I loved my paternal grandmother very much. I just remember me and my little cousin just running around her house all the time, playing, having a good time. And those were the good days, boy. Those are some good ass memories that I would cherish with me for the rest of my life. And Ahmad, her grandson, he has an old soul like I do. Even as a kid, I remember I remember being really wise and just having a love, just having just an old school quality about myself. And I feel like I carry that around with me to a day, to a benefit and a detriment to some degree. But I just have an old soul. That's why I love I love all these different types of movies. I just watched In the Heat of the Night last night, starring Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger, directed by Norman Jewison. I just watched that film last night, and I loved it. But I just have an old soul. I feel like sometimes I'm the one in the family that knows the right things to say, and kind of gets along with everybody, and kind of, brings things to the light and unites people together. As best as I can, even though I'm young. But I just feel like I related to Ahmad a lot, and I can see him being that for his family as he gets older. He's going to be the glue that holds them all together, due to Big Mama's passing. A great opening song at the beginning of the movie by Boyz II Men. That song, Mama, your love is like food to my soul. Boy, them brothers can sing, boy. Yeah. Man, I love that song. I was singing along to it, at the beginning and at the end. Anybody who is not familiar with that song, I highly recommend, well, first of all, watch this movie, but then go listen to that song. It's a beautiful, beautiful beautiful song. You know, that song and Dear Mama by Tupac are the two best songs dedicated to mothers ever. I don't care what anybody says. They're just awesome. Um, like I said also before, a great diverse group of characters. It's always nice to see that in a black film. It's nice to see that in any film, but especially in a black film. You know, and we understand as black folks that we're not all one big monolithic group. We're all very diverse groups of people and everything like that. But it was nice to see, you know, just a diverse group of people in the movie. They're all different. They're all going through different things, but they all share the same blood. Like I said, Vanessa Williams and her husband, they're lawyers. Nia Long and her husband, you know, they're madly in love. I think they might be the youngest. And, you know, they're having sex in the bathroom at the Sunday dinner. And, you know, he's recently got out of prison. He's trying to find work and get his life together. And, you know, they're madly in love. He comes home after getting a job. And, you know, she's there. She's dressed in some sexy lingerie. You know, she takes his clothes off. They got a nice dinner going. It's just a good vibe and really romantic and sweet. And you know, you've got Vivica A. Fox and her husband who met at a skating rink years ago. They seem, you know, Vivica A. Fox stole her man from Vanessa Williams, so that always caused a rift between them. They end up getting into a fight, and you know that's Ahmad's parents. That's his mother and father, and you know they just really they really, really love each other. They got a few kids together, and they seem like they got like a really perfect family. It reminds me of me. I'm an only child, but it reminds me, my mama and my daddy growing up. So you know, it was really nice to see that portrayed in a film. It had a really happy ending. You know, Ahmad he lies to get them all together there. He tells them that Big Mama left them some money, and which you know he lied about, but it turns out actually to be true. He says, you know, y'all always fighting. I want the family to come together. And he starts crying. His mother gives him a hug, and then you know he actually left the towel on the stove because they called him into the kitchen room, called him into the dining room. Cook said, "What is this about this money?" And he breaks down. He tells them the truth. He said, "I told him not to get you all over here. He just won them all." But then it turns out it is true because, you know, Uncle Pete comes down carrying his TV, and then, you know, his daddy, Ahmad's daddy, sprays him. Kenny sprays him in the face with a fire extinguisher. He drops the TV and all the money falls out. My only problem with that is, like, if that didn't happen, they would have never got this money. They would have never known where this money was, y'all. You feel me? They would have never known where this money was. Like she didn't say it in the will. If he didn't drop and break this TV, what if Uncle Pete passed away and they sold this TV? You feel me? They sold this motherfucker, and then, you know, a homeless guy's walking down the street, he drops the TV, it breaks, and he gets the money that Big Mama's been saving her whole life. Like, come on, Big Mama. Come on, Big Mama. You should have left that in your will. You should have left some hints, some clues, or something. You know, it's just like, you know, if Uncle Pete didn't drop that TV and it broke, it's like they would have never got the money. That's my only problem with that part. But hey, that's just me. Me and my boy, we was arguing about this last night. We was watching a movie together, and we was like, well, bro, what is this? Like, come on, dog. You know. But hey, yeah, like I said before, the film reminded me when my grandmothers were both still alive. We used to go to my paternal grandmother's house all the time on Christmas, sitting at, you know, that like living room area, open gifts. The whole family would be there. We calling out names. It would be a lot of fun. It would be really nice. And then, you know, getting together. It's like, you know, we would get together first at my house or my aunt's house for Christmas, and then, you know, at night I'll go with my dad to like my grandmother's house, see that side of the family. So it used to be really nice. It used to be really dope. Having fun, playing with my cousins, and you know, as I get older, chilling with my older cousins, seeing the family and everything like that, watching, you know, TV, movies, football. on holidays. It was just a vibe. It was a good time. And, I miss those days. We didn't get together for the holidays this year, unfortunately, but I'm really hoping that we do next year. But, boy, watching movies like this, it really takes you back. It's a shame. I don't really feel like sometimes a lot of families get together like this no more. Maybe they do, but, man, I just wish sometimes I wish me and the fam was closer, that we would still do stuff like this. But anyway, great movie, great black family movie. Really, really touching, really moving, really funny, really good, really sexy, emotional, real. Great music, really good acting, great diverse group of characters, great cast. Definitely a 10 out of 10. Soul Food is a classic. If you haven't seen it right now, it's on Hulu. Highly recommend that you watch it. And as always, I love y'all. I rock with y'all. I fuck with y'all. Y'all fucking with me. Y'all rocking with me. And as always, peace, love, and soul.